Hello, everyone. Today's joke of the day is why can't your nose be 12 inches long? Stay tuned to find out. Our learning target for today is I can write and solve a system of equations from a word problem. So we're going to be given a word problem and then we'll have to write the system of equations and then solve it. Okay, so for our first problem here, we have the sum of two numbers is negative 10. Negative 3 times the first number minus the second number equals 2. Find the numbers. So what's different here from word problems that we're used to and having to write equations is that we have two different variables. Okay, so in this case, we're going to say that x equals the first number and y equals the second number. Okay, so we just have to define two variables versus we usually just have to define one variable. Okay, we're also going to end up writing a system, meaning we have more than one equation. In this case, we'll have two. Okay, so that first sentence we say, the sum of two numbers is negative 10. Well, sum, we know that means addition. Okay, so our first equation is going to be x plus y equals negative 10. Okay, and then the next equation, or the next sentence says negative 3 times, so we know that's multiplication, the first number, actually I'll make it like that, minus, subtraction, the second number equals 2. Okay, so we have negative 3 times the first number, which would be negative 3x, minus the second number, y, equals 2. Okay, and now that we have this system of equations, we can find the two numbers. When I look at this, we have two equations in standard form, so we probably want to use the elimination method. Okay, and I see that here we have y and negative y. Okay, so that's like 1y and negative 1y. And if we add these two equations together, the y variable will be eliminated. Okay, so let me add these. We get x, that's 1x here, plus negative 3x should give me negative 2x. And then 1y plus negative 1y gives me 0y, so those cancel. And then that's going to equal negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. So I can divide by negative 2 on both sides to get that x equals 4. Okay, and now that I know that x equals 4, I can substitute that back into one of my original equations. I'm going to use the first one here. So we'll have 4 plus y equals negative 10. And now I can solve to find y. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides to get that y equals negative 10 minus 4 gives me negative 14. So that's my y. So my answer as an ordered pair will be 4, negative 14. Okay, for my x and y. Those are my two numbers. All right, let's look at this next one. Next situation here. Okay, we have Cheryl and Jackie work at an ice cream shop. Cheryl earns $8.50 per hour and Jackie earns $7.50 per hour. During a typical week, Cheryl and Jackie earn $299.50 together. 1 week, Jackie doubles her work hours and the girls earn $412. How many hours does each girl work during a typical week? All right, so let's first define our variables. We're going to say that C equals number of hours for Cheryl, and J equals number of hours for Jackie. Okay, so we're now trying to figure out our two equations based on those two variables, C and J. Okay, well, we know that per means multiplication. Okay, so if Cheryl earns $8.50 per hour, we're going to take $8.50 times C, and that will be the amount of money Cheryl makes, right? Okay, so I'll write that here. We got $8.50, or I'm just going to say 8.5. We don't really need that. 8.5 C is going to be amount of money Cheryl makes. And then we're going to add Jackie's money because it says together, which means we'll add those together. Okay, so plus 7.5 J. And this is their typical week, and that usually means they get $299.50. Okay, 299.5 there. Then 1 week it says Jackie doubles her work hours and the girls earn $412. Okay, so Cheryl, her work hours are not changing. So we're going to say just the same thing, 8.5C. But then for Jackie, let's think about what this would mean. She doubles her work hours. So it'd really be like 750 times 2J, if J is her typical work hours. So that's going to equal, we're going to multiply those together, right? 7.5 times 2 is going to be 15J. Okay, so we're going to take 8.5C plus 15J, and that's going to equal 412. Okay, and now that's going to be our second equation. So let's figure out their normal number of hours, okay, which is C and J. Again, we can probably use elimination here since I see I have 8.5C and 8.5C. That means I can subtract these two equations. Okay, and since I'm subtracting, I'm just going to go through and put subtraction in each of these spots so that I remember to subtract every number here. So 8.5 and 8.5, those will cancel. 7.5J minus 15J will give me negative 7.5J. And then I have to do 299.5 minus 412. I do that in my calculator, I get negative 112.5. Okay, now final step, divide by negative 7.5 on both sides to get J all by itself, and J equals, let's divide this by 7.5, should be 15. Okay, so Jackie usually works 15 hours. Okay, and now I can take that 15 and substitute it back into one of my original equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use the first one. Let's do that. So we have 8.5C plus 7.5 times 15, and that's going to equal 299.5. Okay, so let's figure that out. 7.5 times 15 gives me 112. So we have 8.5C plus 112.5 equals 299.5. Now to solve for C, I'm going to subtract 112.5 on both sides. All right, here we go. That'll cancel, left with 8.5C on the left side. And we'll do 299.5 minus 112.5 should give me 187. And then we'll divide that by 8.5 on both sides to get that C equals 22. Okay, so Cheryl usually works 22 hours. So then together, my ordered pair would be, well, I guess we don't need to write an ordered pair for this one since we don't have an X and a Y, so it's not going to be like that. But we would just write Jackie works for 15 hours and Cheryl works for 22 hours. All right, let's look at one more example here. A hardware store earned $956.50 from renting ladders and power tools last week. The store charged 36 days for ladders and 85 days for power tools. This week, the store charged 36 days for ladders, 70 days for power tools, and earned $829. How much does the store charge per day for ladders and power tools? Okay, so first we'll define our variables. We'll say that L equals cost of ladders, or let's say cost of ladder, and then P equals cost of power tool. Okay, so let's write our equation. Cost, we know if it's going to be $36 or 36 days, it'd be 36 times the cost, right? So we would say 36L plus, we're going to add these together to find the total money earned. So 85 days for power tools that first week, 85P, and that's going to equal the first week charge, which is 956.5. Okay, and then the next week was 36 ladders again, or 36 days for ladders, plus 70 days for power tools, and that's going to equal $829. Okay. And if I look at this, I'm going to try and use elimination again since I see my 36L and 36L, and I'm going to subtract these two equations. So remember, I'm subtracting each of these. Okay, so my L's will cancel, and I'll get 85 minus 70 will give me 15p equals, and then let me take out my calculator for this one, 956.5 minus 829 equals, oops, 956.5 minus 829. Okay, equals 127.5. And we'll divide by 15 on both sides to get P all by itself. So P equals 8.5. Okay, and since this is in money, we'll write 850. So the cost of power tools is 850. And then I'll take that and substitute it back into either equation. Let's just do the first one again. And to find L, so 36L is going to plus 85 times 8.5 is going to equal 956.5. Okay, let's take 85 times 8.5. That gives me 722.5. So we have 36L plus 722.5 equals 956.5. And then we'll solve for L. By doing inverse operations, subtract 722.5 from both sides. 36L equals 956.5 minus 722.5, which gives me 234. Oops, I wrote 6. I meant 234. And then we'll divide by 36 on both sides. To get that, it costs $6.50 to rent a ladder. Okay, so there you go. Those are our costs for our power tools and ladders. All right, so just to quickly recap, define your variables, write two equations, and then use any method to solve. Okay, for today's joke of the day, why can't your nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. Thanks for watching and have a great day.